First at 5 tonight, we are on your side covering Debbie's impacts as the storm continues to move through our area. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Heather Crawford.
And I'm Anthony Austin. Right now we have crews on the ground in some of the most impacted areas by this storm.
A road washed out in Blackshear, Georgia. Take a look at these images right here. You see what happened when the storm moved through. People unable to get out of their neighborhoods.
And in Brunswick, yards and even some homes flooding during the storm, and even parts of Florida still reeling from this storm. I mean, take a look at this, how high the water was in Clay County at Blackwater Creek.
Right now, our team of reporters is speaking with people in those areas as they're cleaning up from what this storm left behind. We're going to check in with them in just a moment. But first, the 5 o'clock advisory just came out, just being released by the National Hurricane Center minutes ago. And
our most accurate weather team breaking it all down for you this evening. We want to check in now with Chief Meteorologist Tim Deegan.
All right, thank you, Anthony and Heather. And so here's the latest advisory. There's a lot to look at here, but I think there's some key points. Number one, yes, it's a tropical storm, but barely at 40 miles per hour. Number two, it's moving, but barely 3 miles per hour. In essence, it's just about stalled, folks. The core, that is, has been within about 20 miles of Savannah all day long. And remember, 5 days ago, the forecast was that it would stall. The big question is where. And as heavy as the rains have been in our area, the overall rainfall totals are going to end up being highest for those that are east and to the north of the center. And basically, it's stalling around the Savannah area, so areas east and north of there are where the rainfall totals will be highest. We're still engulfed in the circulation, so we're still experiencing some rainfall overall, but this is where the heaviest of the rains will be. For those of you traveling, the worst of the weather, think toward Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and then up from Charlotte on over to eastern North Carolina. But again, although slowly, the tropical storm continues to move slowly away from us. Still dealing with some precipitation. Ross is going to check it out on the radar.
Yeah, Tim, so now folks know where it's going, but what effects are we still seeing here across the First Coast? Well, from Jacksonville northward, still a decent amount of rain being seen. Rainfall rates anywhere from about a quarter to about a third of an inch, so light to moderate all the way from Waycross down through the Okefenokee in the Folkston area, over to Jacksonville, Fernandina Beach, and still the whole way up to Brunswick. So still going to see some rain around, 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts. We actually had about a 40 mile per hour wind gust reported in Mayport about 30 minutes ago. So if you have any plans this evening, still will certainly be a wet commute driving around. But really, our big concern here over about the next 24 to 36 hours is going to be those rising rivers as all those smaller creeks and streams continue to filter in, particularly the Black Creek, St. Mary's, Satilla, and then obviously out towards the Swanee. So one of those going to be the St. Mary's, likely going to crest at major flood levels here around 20 feet overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. We'll have more on the potential flooding rivers here coming up.
And our most accurate weather team is always on your side in the palm of your hand on the First Coast News app. If you don't have it, text APP to the number on your screen, 904-633-2402. We'll send you a link right now so you can download it. Tonight, hundreds of people are trapped just outside of Blackshear, Georgia. Their only road in and out is like this, crumbled and washed out as Debbie came through. Our Zach Wilcox has been speaking with neighbors. He joins us live tonight from College Avenue. And Zach, I know there's a lot of road work happening there right now.
Yeah, Heather, it is amazing to see how fast these crews can go. They got on site about 2 hours ago now, and you saw those images of how deep those two holes were. They've already got them just about filled in. They're bringing these dump trucks in with asphalt chips, kind of the stuff that they tear up from roadways when they're redoing roads. So they're dumping those chips into the two holes, and they've had an excavator in there smoothing things out, trying to make it passable. So this isn't going to look pretty when they're done, but it should be at least enough for folks to be able to get in and out of this neighborhood. We just saw within the past couple of minutes an ambulance make its way through there. So hoping to get an update on the condition of whoever that ambulance is trying to get to. They had their lights on there, but they've had about 15 dump trucks working their way through. 10 or so have gone so far. There's another 5 lined up to dump their asphalt chips in there. And you mentioned it, about 200 people are trapped back there. This is their main access in and out, their only way in and out to Blackshear. And so we've seen folks, we saw one man who actually had a bag packed, a whole duffel bag ready for his flight. He had a flight to catch, so he crawled through the holes to get to the other side and had his ride waiting here. We also talked to another man who mentioned he's been making runs for folks who live in the neighborhood back and forth to Dollar General to get them the necessities they need. And just a lot of these neighbors, lined up here trying to watch this work so they, right when they can, they're able to make it out of there when it's finished.
I might not make it to work for another week, but maybe so. You know, you got to put food on the table and you got family to feed. So it's for the history books right here. You know, this is like a piece of history right here unfolding in front of us.
Yeah, so you heard from Bryce Dixon there. He's got a life, work on the other side of this cavern here that's just been filled in. So hopefully it'll be passable within the next couple of hours here. And GDOT is doing the work to fill it in. However, it will be a Pierce County project once the storm has finally worked its way through. And I talked with some other folks back there who are hoping that this puts an emphasis on road work and the need for repaired roads throughout Pierce County, specifically this one, instead of just patchwork like they've seen in the past. In Pierce County, Zach Wilcox, First Coast News, on your side.
All right, Zach, thank you. We continue our team coverage now in southeast Georgia, where people are still dealing with rain today. 3 dozen trees fell overnight in Glenn County that we know of due to the storm. Some roads closed due to the high water. Riley Phillips is joining us now in Brunswick. And Riley, that neighborhood you're in, still dealing with flooding this evening.
Yes, I'm back in the College Park neighborhood where there was flooding last night in the streets. Neighbors tell me this road that I'm standing on was completely covered in water last night. The water has gone down significantly since then, but you can see behind me a lot of water still left in these neighbors' yards here. Some neighbors even had to deal with water inside their homes overnight. I spoke with David Bonilla. He lives in one of the homes behind me. He says this happens every time they get a lot of rain here. He tells me he moved here about 4 years ago. Since then, his home is flooded twice. They've had to do major renovations each time. He says it's a drainage issue. Public Works is working on a solution, but it's just very frustrating for him and his neighbors.
By maybe 3 in the afternoon, we were halfway through the concrete here. That passageway was covered. The road was nearly fully covered of water, and by 6 in the afternoon, we were completely knees-high on water.
And I spoke with the director of Public Works for the city of Brunswick. He tells me they are in the bidding process for the first phase of this drainage project. He says that they are hoping to start construction by the end of the year. That should hopefully alleviate some of the backup of this water. As far as damage and flooding issues for the rest of the city and rest of the county, officials tell me they really have not seen any major issues. They tell me they are feeling very fortunate today because of that. Live in Brunswick, Riley Phillips, First Coast News, on your side.
Riley, thank you. And several Georgia counties have pushed back the first day of school due to the storm. Here's what you need to know this evening. In Glenn County, the first day of school was moved to this Thursday. It was supposed to be tomorrow. The first day of school for Camden County was changed from today to Thursday. And the first day of school in Ware County was supposed to be on Thursday, but now is going to be this upcoming Monday on August 12th. And we're on your side with the latest closures, delays, and cancellations due to Debby. All you have to do is send the keyword closures to 904-633-2402, and we'll send that list to your phone right now.
Well, incredible images sent in to us by a viewer tonight. This is a part of Black Creek right here at Scenic and Tacoma Drive in Middleburg. And you can see just how high the water was. We know that the county's emergency management director is keeping a very close eye on the flooding in that area. Renata DiGregorio joins us live from there now with the very latest. Renata?
Good evening. We are on Lazy Acre Road right now, and the situation here has gotten worse. The road is still closed, but I want to show you where the water has gone to now. When we were here earlier today, it was only just past that second mailbox that you can see. Now you can see it's way farther past that. And down the street is where Michelle Miller and her family live. Today, she's just been forced to wait and see if floodwaters reach inside her home.
This is where I raise my kids, so it's real tough.
Michelle Miller watched her children grow up here on Lazy Acres Road.
Look what's right there.
Now all she can do is wait to see if the rising water from Black Creek reaches her home again.
We're still in the process of rebuilding from Irma, but might not be able to do that, not with how fast it's coming up.
Flooding on Black Creek's north end is forecast to peak at 8 o'clock Tuesday night at almost 20.4 feet, according to the National Weather Service. Flooding was nearly there earlier Tuesday when Lazy Acres Road was closed. Clay County Emergency Management Director Timothy Devon says many people who live farther down the road have RVs elsewhere they've gone to.
These residents, though, are pros at this. In fact, they teach us a lot because they have a lot of historical knowledge.
If it goes in the house this time, we got to say goodbye.
For Miller, this would mean saying goodbye to a lot of memories.
I love my house full of kids. I just loved having everybody around. I was everybody's mom.
Miller says leaving her home due to flooding from Debby would also mean saying goodbye to the memories her family will never make.
Grandbaby, son, and daughter-in-law. Yep. I was hoping to have the memories here with them, but we'll see.
Just in the last hour, Miller tells me that the water is now 3 to 4 steps from getting inside of her home and that it's waist deep in her yard. Live in Middleburg, Renata DiGregorio, First Coast News, on your side.
All right, Renata, thank you. Well, tonight we know that power has been restored to more than 110,000 JEA customers after Debby ripped through the area, bringing down trees and causing power outages. Homeowners on Fort George Island in Jacksonville say most of the island was without power for the morning after trees came crashing down. At one home, crews reconnected power lines and had to use a chainsaw to cut up tree limbs. The homeowner says trees on his property came down this morning, and he is thankful for JEA's quick response.
Our electric and water crews and tree trimmers have been working throughout this storm in dangerous conditions, and they are working as quickly and safely as possible.
I thought I had escaped without doing much yard work, but I got a lot to do now.
So if you experience a power outage in Jacksonville, you can report it on JEA's website. It's right there on your screen. We're going to put it up, jea.com/outage.